Absolutely phenomenal morning, guys. This is your Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, Shaan flanked as always by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson. Listen, it's Friday, guys. It's Friday. I had a great night last night. I woke up so excited this morning. I don't know. It might be in the air. There might be some electricity in the air, guys. There might be some electricity in your air. Like in your home, there may be some electricity. I don't know about you, but I know there is in mine. I feel absolutely phenomenal. I want to talk about last night. Bobby, is it okay if I talk about last night?
Yes, please. I'm excited. What's going on, Coach?
Great. So watch this, guys. Sometimes you got to get away from business. Sometimes you got to get away from business, right? So, I mean, just the smallest things. The smallest things. Like I went out last night, we went out to eat and just had a little bit of salmon, just laid back a little bit, no business involved at all. Around like 4 o'clock, I just shut it down, went out, sat down. Simple, the simple things, guys. I promise you, like the things that cost very little to no money are the things that give you the most fulfillment in your life, in your business. That's how I'm feeling, man. This is the Breakfast with the Brand, but we had a phenomenal dinner last night. Just like nice, intimate, quiet, peaceful, resigned. Sometimes you got to get away from business, man.
Wow. It's interesting, Coach, because my tone was completely different. Completely different. I woke up this morning and it was like just super energetic. I was feeling a type of way yesterday and I started getting into Relentless, the book. And I was just like reading it and getting myself like revved up. So it's really exciting how, on the other side of the world, so to speak, you were, embracing the finer things of life. And I was, getting into the finer elements of the inner me, the inner man that goes out and gets things done. So I think that's super exciting. One of the things that I thought about this morning was your calling got the right number. Like your calling, that thing that's calling on you and it's calling on you, and you probably, let it ring. It got the right number. Pick that thing up and see where it takes you. So I'm excited to go out and have my salmon with my wife, kick my feet back and say,
sometimes you got to get away, man. Sometimes you got to get away from business, man. Sometimes you got to get away. I don't know. I think it's time for some sand. What do we say? Sun in the fun and the sand with the brand. I think it's time to get away. I think it's time for like clear waters. Like I love fish. I love water. I love sand. I'm a child of the sun. Like I was born in June. I'm a child of the sun. Like I love the heat. People try to run away from the heat. Like I run towards the heat. Like I was literally born in the oven. Like I love fire. Like I stay hot. The hotter, the better. When other people are running for cover, I'm like, just leave me alone. I'm out here. Like you just don't understand. Like sun and me have a thing going on. Guys, this is the Breakfast with the Brand. I want you to think about what lights you up in your life. Like what small things, what things that are seemingly insignificant, the small things, the things that don't cost money, the things that do not cost or very little to no money at all. Those are the most important things that will turn your business around if it's upside down. And that's a guarantee. That's a guarantee. Business is a spiritual game. It is the things that you do with the people that you love that matter the most. I don't care what anybody says. And you tell them if they say something different, you bring them to Shaan and I'll set them straight, all right? This is your Breakfast with the Brand, and we'll be right back. There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental. We're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence. Add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
All right, guys. So again, first off, I know it's Friday, right? Everybody's excited. Everybody's electric because it's Friday. Like, listen, #replay squad. If you're watching this later, #replay squad. I just want to kind of bring it back to the basics and talk about what matters the most. Like, what matters the most to you, because it's what matters the most that will help you to become massively successful and overcome resistance, right? Because let me tell you, there are small-minded people everywhere, and there are insurmountable or seemingly insurmountable challenges everywhere. So as you have this huge dream, you're surrounded by dream killers. So be very, very careful about who you share it with. Because as soon as a leader shares a vision that has not been realized yet, the snipers set up their scopes. I promise you this, as soon as you begin speaking your huge, big visions, the small-minded people, the snipers set up their scopes. So you have to be very deliberate and intentional about who you share your visions with. That's why community is so important, and the quality of the community is so important. You have to surround yourself with people who are inspiring, people who are chasing the same thing. Because at the end of the day, it's the things that matter most that are why you started. It's the people that matter most that keeps you going when resistance onsets, which is actually always, right? It never stops. Life, what do they say? Keeps lifing, and life stays showing up. So it's the things that motivate you and move you to action in the morning. Your sons, your daughters, your wives, your husbands, your mothers, your fathers, like that's the foundation. I tell people all the time, like at the core of a business idea, the purpose and the factor that gets you started, that keeps you going, the momentum factor, the X factor, really is love. It really is. Like it's love, and it's passion, and it's purpose. It's those things that just light you up on the inside and keep you going no matter what's going on, no matter what the small-minded people say, right? No matter what the bank account might look like from time to time. You hate your job, but you love your family.
Yeah.
Yes, you hate your job, but you love your family. I said I started my business in the basement of a job that I hated with the BlackBerry, and I was there because I loved my family. And I used that BlackBerry because I love my family. Everything I do at the core, the driving factor is passion, purpose, and at the essence of it, love for those who matter the most to you. That's all. I just want to talk to the things that matter the most on this Friday so people don't get distracted.
Yeah, it was an exciting experience because I do have a blended family. Many of you all know that, but I was out with my nucleus family, so to speak. Everybody that I was out with that at yesterday when we were having this early dinner, so to speak, it was my 2 daughters and my wife. And what was very interesting about this, because we do it for who we love, and our older kids were at school. And this was very interesting. It was an African American man, an African American woman out eating brunch during working hours with well-behaved kids. I had 2 to 3 families of different ethnicities walk past us and say, your children are so well behaved. It happened so many times that my wife whispered to me, are we on display? Why do they keep trying to touch our kids? Like, one of them was like, and we live in like a town where it's like somewhat okay. It's a very military kind of town. So they're walking by and they're like trying to touch our kids on the head, like, oh, their hair is so pretty. And my wife is like, touch her, I dare you. And I'm like, calm down, baby, calm down, But it was just an experience. And it was so beautiful because I love them. And that's who I wake up for. And that's why I grind out. I didn't even eat because those weren't my eating hours, so to speak. And the food that they were eating weren't necessarily the food that I eat. So, and I had a glass of water. So it was just an experience where I was able to indulge it. I saw people much older, all ethnicities, congratulating us on doing a good job with raising our kids. I was treating my wife. I was maintaining disciplines, and my girls, 1 and 2, had no idea what they were experiencing. And it was just a really exciting evening for us as well.
Very good. Very good. So guys, just so that you understand, like, this is the Breakfast with the Brand. And I always talk about branding you, not what you do. Now, this is so important for you to understand, like, this is your why. This is your purpose. This is why you're here. I know this is your passion. I know this is why you go to work. I know this is why you got the master's degree. This is why you went and got the 3 E's, the education, the experience, and the expertise, so that you could enjoy the 3 I's, the impact, the income, and the independence. To be able to do what you want, where you want, when you want, with who you want, for however long you want. And not have to worry about what side of the menu you order from. Or whether the kids want too much, or what restaurant you're going to go to, or what the price of the gasoline is. Like, these are non-factors. These are factors that at this point in time should not be a factor to you. Especially if you're doing the right things and you've gotten those 3 E's. But a lot of people find themselves with those 3 E's without the 3 I's. So there has to be a point where your expertise, your experience, and your education enters activation. It must be activated. And we're living in such a new dynamic and a new situation where people don't understand your value, right? You fill out a job application, people don't understand your value. You tell them you got a master's degree, they tell you 40K, they tell you 50K, and you're like, 40K, 50K is a terrible month. It's a good week, but it's an okay month. It's a bad month. And people don't understand that. And sometimes it gets very disheartening sometimes to hear what people are going through economically, like so challenged, so constricted economically. You absolutely must brand you. Your children depend on it. Your children depend on it. Bobby's children might not have understood the context of what they were going through, but they were the content inside the context. And it's recognized by other families. Like, we have a responsibility at this point in time to show a different standard, to give a different example of people who have truly, truly earned their freedom to go out at all times of the day. Oh, I remember one time, you know, me and my wife, we travel, right? So I worked at the same time. I worked, but I was off. I'm a consultant. So I was a consultant long before executive coaching and the pandemic and COVID and going live and 450K in less than a night. I was free a long time before that, right? So just so we're clear, because of the education, because of the positioning, because I branded myself long ago. This is why this works inside or out of your organization, inside or outside of any vertical. I was inside a vertical, had a job, a 9-to-5, repositioned myself, reasserted myself, rebranded myself, then renegotiated my contract and the terms of my engagement. And I created a free agent inside of a context. I became entrepreneurial. I was an entrepreneur. I said, I'm going to stay here. You guys need the services. I love the work, but I cannot do a 9-to-5. I'm too qualified. And we're going to get a sizable raise, and I'm going to control my own time. You do with what I just said to you the way you feel, but I'm either going to do this or I'm going to do it somewhere else. And I was given my walking papers and an increase in pay, and I was on the freedom run. And that was it. So me and my wife were traveling, and we go to a nice resort town, and it's about 2:30 in the afternoon. And we're, you know, we wake up late and we're going out and we're doing the things that, you know, married couples do. And we go sit down and we go to a movie theater, right? We go to see a movie. And it was so amazing to me, guys. This was one of the things that made me say, I got to go. Like, I'm so happy I'm here, but I got to go even harder. We had the theater to ourselves. There was not another soul in the entire place. There was barely people at the concession stands to serve the popcorn. I'm not a popcorn connoisseur, but if I wanted popcorn, there was hardly anyone there. It was bare bones. The entire resort town, like it's a beach town, the entire resort beach town was absolutely empty. And I'm like, this is the life. I said, hold up. I said, this is what's up. And we went to the movie theater to watch the movie, and we went inside, and I'm like, there's no one in the theater. I said, oh, this is like a home theater times 10. Because there's no one here. Like, we're the only people. I felt very, listen to me very closely. I felt special. But I only imagined what my wife felt like and what she would feel like if I made it permanent. And at that point, I said, you know what? I like this. I like this freedom piece. I like this being able to go places when we want, where we want. I don't care about the time. It doesn't matter the day. It doesn't have to be a holiday. It doesn't have to be tax return. It doesn't have to be any of that stuff. It doesn't have to be a stimulus. It doesn't have to be none of those things. It's a norm, a new norm. Guys, you should write that down. What you want to establish in your life, in your neighborhood, in your finances, in your communications, in your positioning, in your standards is a new norm. That became my life. And that's what Bobby's enjoying now. And that's what, you know, his family is able to enjoy. And he wouldn't have been able to enjoy it if he had not made the decisions and the investments and the studies and the time and the sacrifices required to earn your freedom and independence. Like, the topic, this is an independent topic. We do this because we can, and we do this because we care. And I always tell people this at the end of the day. I say, don't let me care about your family's freedom more than you do.
Man, I think you're taking us to a break, right, Coach?
Nope.
Okay, I'll
Let's lean into this. Let's lean into this.
So what came to my thoughts were just what I want to give my wife and my children and why they deserve it. Like, I don't know where I heard this from, but I heard someone, and it might have been you, Coach, who said, why does someone else's wife deserve to live better than yours?
Yeah.
Why does someone else's kids deserve to have a better education than yours? And, you know, it's not about competition, but more about standards. It really became like, okay, if this man can be who he needs to be in order for his wife to enjoy what she desires, what's stopping me from becoming the man I need to be? And this is leveraging my genius, my past, my energy. And I think that was super important to me when it came to making some decisions, some big decisions, some tough decisions, and saying, I know that they're not going to like this, because my family didn't always like what I had to do. And I also said to myself, but if I can do it fast enough, if I can do it before I lose them, and guys, like, I got close, like real close. But I said, it's worth it to me. And that's the thing about like champions. Like, we talked about championships yesterday, like champions. I believe it was Derek Jeter who said, the game-winning grand slam that you make is in the same moment of the winning grand slam that you miss. It's like, it's the same moment. Just one you connect with and the other you don't. And the reason I say that is simply to say champions go for it every time. Like, we know that it's in the moment of going for it that you get it all. So I'm saying to you guys today is, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to go for so that everybody that you love gets what they deserve? And that was a big decision for me. That was a big decision for me, was what am I willing to risk? What am I willing to go for? And as I tied down this piece, like this thought that we're leaning into, for me, I had to also say, what parts of me am I willing to let go of so that they can have the parts of them that they never knew were there? And just a little bit on that is like, there's parts of my wife that she didn't even know she had until she had the freedom to think. She was a single mother before me with 3 children. And then I married my beautiful wife, and I took in my beautiful family. And there were thoughts that she didn't even have the time to think because she was working 2 jobs. There were traumas she didn't even have the time to process because she was raising 3 kids and the men didn't do their jobs. So when I came in and I said, no, this can't work. And then there was kids that had traumas that they couldn't process because their mother couldn't nurture them, because their mother was taken away from her own mind trying to do what a man's supposed to do. So I came in, I was like, nah, this is not right. And I started getting after it. And when it comes to business and it comes to your life and it comes to your family, what I was able to do and why I was so passionate and gung-ho about business and why I just would not relent was because she deserved space to think. Those kids deserved a mother that could nurture them. And I deserved a family that was whole. And we deserve a life that we can appreciate, enjoy, and share with one another. And I thought that that was my responsibility. And I retired her because that was my responsibility. And when I retired her, she went to college because I felt like that's the thing that she wanted to do. She told me that's what she wanted to do, and I felt like she deserved to do it. And she deserved to do it without a job. And she didn't work, and she went to school, and she enjoyed herself. And my kids got pulled out of public schools because they were being exposed to things that they didn't need to see, and they already had traumas, and we put them in private schools so that they could grow and develop properly. And that's the freedom that my children enjoy to this day, and that my wife enjoys to this day, and that I feel obligated to provide.
Because of business and leveraging your leadership. Let's grow, guys. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. We never come to play. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. I said Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. So this is why I say share this out, guys, like for real, for real. It's not about me. It's not about Shaan Rais. It's about you. It's about you. It's about your family. It's about your children. It's about your freedom. It's about your business, your brand, your goals, your dreams, your talents, your characteristics, your innate personality, and who in your life you want to see free. Think about that. Like, who in your life do you know who needs a taste of freedom? Who needs a release? Who needs a reprieve? What Bobby gave his wife is a completely new life, an opportunity to live, to breathe. Like sometimes we can't breathe because we're under so much pressure and so much stress. Like high anxiety is a real thing, especially in some communities more than others. It's more prevalent in some communities more than others. Stress kills. And the highest stress factor within a marriage or relationship is finances. It's money. People say, I love you, but when they say no romance if there is no finance, like I got me some honey, but I need me some money. Guys, it's not a game. Like, it's a real thing. Like, why should you have to say, okay, I can only eat this? I got a master's degree, for God's sakes. And I still, like, I remember working with people who used to almost come to tears because they couldn't get their break in their 2-week vacation at the same time as their spouses. So just like Bobby, I'll tell you guys a story, man. Can I tell a story, Bobby? Is it all right?
Please.
You sure?
Take us for a walk. Take us for a trip.
Your story, put one in the chat if it's all right. Like I want to tell you a story, but I don't want to get, too deep. But I would like to share a story with you guys and just show you like one of the driving core reasons behind the Freedom Run for me. Thank you. Give me some permission. Put a 1 in the chat, guys, if it's okay. Like, we're going to treat this like a Zoom call. Put a 1 in the chat on Zoom, LinkedIn. Like, hit me on LinkedIn, Instagram. Put a 1 in the chat. Okay, great. I've been given permission. I can remember when I was young. I'm younger now. I'm young now, but I can remember when I was like under 10, single digits, and I would sit at the table. And one of the best things that I really loved was when my mother and father would sit at the table and eat together. It was just like family time because there wasn't so much of that because both worked. So it was interesting to try to get them in the same place, but we did come together for dinner. However, there was one thing that I remembered as a young man, and that was that my mother would talk about her work. And this traumatized me for my father. Now, just pay attention real quick. My mother worked decent jobs. When I say decent, I mean decent, like not Wall Street, but like Times Square, Fashion Avenue, decent, middle class, decent. And her bosses were all of a specific demographic. I'll just leave it there. You make your own assumptions and conclusions. When my mother would come to the dinner table and talk about her bosses and her work, it was like she was bringing her bosses to the table. She would be talking about her bosses because she worked close to the bosses. She was a little bit educated, so she worked closer to the bosses, and she would talk about them at the dinner table. And I would sit there and listen to my mother bring these strange men to the dinner table. Now, I'm a child, I'm a young man, but I'm a young male child. And I would look at my father when my mother would bring other men's names to the table. And he would just, have the conversation with her. It was normal. It was a norm. Please understand this. It was a norm. He'd talk about his job and his way. He didn't talk about women. He didn't have women supervisors, but she would come and talk about her job and her way and her supervisors who were all men. And I'm like, I used to sit there and feel a little bit embarrassed for my father, a little bit ashamed for my father. And I used to say to myself, like, there's something not right about this. It didn't taste well. It didn't taste right. And I said, you know what? My wife ain't going to bring no other man to my dinner table. Bobby, I knew this at 7 years old. I promise you, I knew this at 7 years old. I said, my wife, my woman, the person that I love, I don't care if we dating, she's not bringing another man to the dinner table because I felt it was in violation of something that I could not have even understood that young. But I knew in my heart and my soul and my DNA, come Hades or high water, no matter what it took, no matter the sacrifice, my wife would not work. She would not be in the workforce, and I don't care what it required. I didn't care what I needed to do. I didn't care about the sacrifice. I just didn't care. So I understand exactly what you're saying, and it just, stirred something up in me to make me remember like a long time ago, a memory that I had when my mother would come to the dinner table and have these strange men names in her mouth. And I'd just be like, oh, when will she stop? It's like she'd come to the dinner table the next day and it'd be the same thing, same talk. And, it wasn't disrespectful, and I'm sure it wasn't done with ill intent. However, I just had to establish a new norm. And if you're a man hearing this, establish a new norm. We have that responsibility to establish a new norm, and it's okay to establish a new norm. I know we live in a situation in an economic pressure can and a pressure canister where it's like the only way we can make six figures is to both have a combined income, and the only way we can ever possibly get to multiple six figures is to have a combined income. That's not true. I promise you that's not true. The only way we can make investments and get real estate and do the things that we want to do and have some kind of freedom is if we move up and up and up in our education and go further and further and further down in debt. And, that's not true. It's not true. I promise you, it's not true. It's a fable. It's a fable. And you have the ability to create a new norm. You can create a new decision. You can create a new vision and make a new decision based on your new vision. That's what I had. It's sitting at that table. I had an aha moment and I said, maybe I was too young to know. Maybe I was too young to be conformed. Maybe I was too young to be afraid. But I said, you know something? I have a bold new vision. And that's what I'm living in right now.
This takes me deep into my reasons, my reasons why I do what I do. And one of those reasons is because justice. Like, I don't know. So how Shaan was like young and he had this thing in him where it's like, this just isn't right. I feel like, can I tell a story? All right. So can you put a 2 in the chat for me? Like, if I can tell a story, please put a 2 in the chat. But I have always been a very just man. Like, even as a boy, like, I was just. And I'll tell you guys a story about when I was, and I was talkative. I'm a Gemini, so I talked a lot too, sometimes too much. I remember being at a Walmart, and I come from not a lot of money. People that where I come from did what they had to do to get by. People sold food stamps to pay for gas where I come from. Like, they did what they had to do to get by.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand. And I, having such this innate, I had to be about as young as Shaan, maybe a little bit older when this happened. I had this innate justice thing in me that when we got to the register, I was out with my aunt. We were at the grocery store. She was paying for everything, and she had a pound of sugar on the bottom of the basket. She took all of the groceries out of the top of the basket and rung them up regularly. The lady at the front did not see the sugar, and she wasn't supposed to. I didn't know this. I'm a kid. And she rings everything up, and I go bumping my gums. Hey, auntie, you got sugar on the bottom of the basket. Hey, auntie, hold on, let me get it for you. I bend down, I pick it up. She's like giving me the eye, and I'm too young to understand. All the non-verbals, like, shut up, put it back. I can't afford that. And I was like, but you're supposed to pay for it. It's not like, you can't steal it. That was my thinking. But little did I know our situation. Lo and behold, she ended up paying for it with probably money she had allocated for something else. I say all of that to say this. That was something that I was like, I don't ever want my wife, my kids, anyone to ever have to steal something, to commit an injustice, simply to go against their own integrity just to feed themselves. That's not right. That's wrong. And that was something in me that I never really could reconcile. I had to find a way to make my life one that was just and filled with the integrity that did not betray my convictions. So to me, one of the things that's very important to me and why I build this business so aggressively is because I know we all have the dark side. We all have the thing that we're willing to do to make sure our family eats. We all have that in us, that survival instinct. And I'm like, I never want that to come out of my wife and my kids in a way that I could have prevented had I simply provided. I never want my wife to feel like she's got to go do something that a woman should not do in order to put food on a table for children that she didn't have by herself. I never want my kids to feel like they have to go steal something and take something and do something that conflicts with what I've instilled in them because they feel like they don't have any options. And that, ladies and gentlemen, drives me. It gets me up in the morning. I think about my daughter. I'm like, she'll never, and I'm not coming against anybody, and I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. Like, she will never have occupations that degrade her because she feels like that's the only way she can make a way. Daddy did too much for you to ever feel like you have to put your integrity on the line to survive.
It's deeper than business, guys. Like, see that thing scrolling across the bottom? Leadership, leverage, coaching, like, it's deeper than business. It's way deeper than business. There's a higher, more noble cause. There's a higher, more noble cause than what you may think. You know, you see me in the marketplace, you see the videos, you see the reels, you see the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTube. You're like, oh, Shaan is, you know, he's a speaker, he's an influencer, like everybody else. Like, we are not a commodity nor a commercialization. There's a deeper, much more profound purpose and passion that exists inside the leadership leverage. There's a more profound calling to your spirit and your conviction if you want to do more, be more, have more. Why? So you can give more, so you can ultimately live more. That's what this is about. We don't have 5 lives. We got one. And the people entrusted to our care, the people who put their hands in their hearts and our hands and in our hearts, we have a responsibility and we have a duty. So I want you to fast forward. Fast forward to like close to the end of your life, because no one's going to live forever, right? So fast forward in your mind real quick to what the end looks like. And I want you to be able to be comfortable with yourself in knowing that you did good and not having to ask or hope that you did good. See, my children, this is the thing that I say in the 7 Prerequisites to Success, which is the first book. I would highly advise it. Pun intended. I would extremely highly advise it. I said that we don't get to choose who our parents were. A lot of people I hear talk, they're 40 and they're 50 and they're suffering from things that took place in their fourth grade or at the age of 4 or 5. And they're like, my mommy didn't do this. My daddy didn't do that. I was a latchkey kid. So was I. When I came home, there was no one there. And I was raised by the corner folk. I always tell people, like, there was no coaches, consultants, there was no personal and professional development industry in Harlem in the late 80s, early 90s. That was a whole different world. So you just think of what comes out of that when both parents have to work and get home 7, 8 o'clock. And I know everybody's trying to do their best. So this is not a put down. This is a bring up. This is a call up. This is a pull up. It's not a push down. It's a pull up. We don't get to choose who our parents were. So we could let go of that. But we need to be able to, and we do have the ability to choose and dictate and decide and create who our children's parents will be. And that's through our vision, decision, and discipline. Those things on the wall didn't come overnight. The book wasn't written overnight. The successful didn't happen overnight, but it happened. And it was worth it. And yours won't happen overnight. But you can learn from people who came the way before you and paved the way for you to succeed faster than they did. This is generational. This is about every generation being able to collapse decades into days and make their yearly income monthly, their monthly income weekly, and their weekly income daily. And it's not something that I just came up with as some fly tagline. It's something that I experienced. And as soon as I experienced it, I didn't want to keep it a secret. I was in the movie theater by myself and I said, it's cool. It's cool. Trust me. Like, I'm sitting there with my wife and we're the only people in the theater. And I'm like, wow, this is mega. This is huge. This feels phenomenal. And I said, how much better would it feel if it was full of families that had the same freedoms? See, I'm the type of person that once I don't want salmon for myself. I don't want good health for myself if there's no one to share it with. That's why I say, share this out, guys, share this out. I share because I care. That's why I'm here. If you don't share, shame on you. But keeping things a secret won't help you. People tell me all the time, Shaan, you're doing too much for free. You crushing the game. You're doing too much. Why you telling the secrets? And I'm looking at these people like, you made $1 million. You made $10 million. Why keep it a secret? There's some things that you don't have to charge for, man. Everything is not to be sold. Everything is not to be sold. If we invested time, if we invested $250,000 to go get the education, if we spent all of the hundreds of thousands of dollars to get all of the information, why not give it away? At some point in some medium, why not give it away? We can charge for this on the back end, but you got to have something where you just give the people consistently to show the people like where your heart is and show them and let them have faith that there's an infinite amount. I'm not worried about, I'm going to lose, I'm going to run out of content. No, I am the brand. I am the brand. I am the content. I'll never run out of content. As long as I got breath in my lungs, I'll be able to help somebody go from X to Z, from A to F. Guaranteed. And it's deeper when we're in a more intimate situation and we're in a more environment, a controlled environment, and you tell me, hey, Shaan, this is exactly what I went through. This is exactly where I am. This is the goal that I have. This is what my DISC assessment looks like, and this is where I want to go. You give me that, I'll give you your battle plan. And it's evidence-based and it's battle-tested. That can't happen here. But I can give you something for free that can help you get at it differently, do something differently, make enough money to make an investment, it can touch you deep enough for you to have a bigger vision, a bigger goal, a bigger reality. So those around you, under your responsibility, under your care and protection, can have a bigger life and a bolder and brighter and much bigger future. This is why we do the Breakfast with the Brand. It is a brainchild of mine. It is a passion project of mine. And we give it freely because everything is not to be sold.
Coach, this is just such a empowering experience for me because it's been 3 years. This will be 4. Like, we're on year 4 right now of this journey together. And you've never lied to me. You've always gave it to me straight. And every time I learned the truth, it set me free. And I think that's what this is, for me, why I like showing up on Breakfast with the Brand every morning, why I am so privileged and honored to be able to come here every morning and talk to the people. Like, this is like, you guys don't understand like how much this matters to me and why I'm here every morning, rain, sleet, heck, or snow, with 5 kids and a wife and all my other responsibilities. But it's because I want to give you guys as much truth as I possibly can, because the more honest and the more truthful we are about what it takes, where we've been, who we've been, how imperfect we were when we started, and how somewhat jacked up we still are as we're going along. But you get better and you get smarter and you get faster and you get more resilient and you build up endurance and tolerances and immunities. And it's a real thing. But you don't build up immunity if you never get sick. And you never build up immunity if you get sick and people tell you that you should go drink Campbell's soup, curl up in a ball. Like, no, it's not the truth. And the truth won't set you free. It'll keep you exactly where you are. And that's why I encourage people to share this out. And that's why I encourage you to come every day and get some more truth. Because like Shaan said before, you don't have to have that 2-income household to make a 6 figures. I'm a living testament. You can retire your wife and pay off your debt, and revenue is a real thing. You can build it up and not have to borrow so much. Like, I borrowed so much money, they won't give me no more money. I didn't have no options but to get revenue. And I learned that the truth is, when they stop giving you the debt or the credit, does the dream die? Absolutely not, or only if you let it, And Shaan told me, okay, great. They won't give you no more money. Go get some out of the marketplace. It's what I've been teaching you for the past X amount of years. And that's what I did. I said, okay, great. Legs broke, go to the marketplace. They won't give you no more money. I got more money. And then boom, lo and behold, all of my different payment processing systems trying to give me money because they see me making money. And it's just like every answer that you're looking for is along the way. just keep on going. You know, that's my piece. And share the truth.
Very good. Very good. What I'm gonna end with is that you have options. You have options. There's nothing wrong with having a job. Nothing is honorable to have a job. It's honorable to be respectful. It's honorable to take care of your family and feel like you've only got a couple options. Like when I was growing up, there was A and B. Go to school, get a job. A and B. What the Breakfast with the Brand is about is introducing you to a C and D. There's another options. There are other doors. I went through both of the A and B. I got the education, got the job, but then I realized, hold on, there's another door. And then there's an even bigger door after that. Like one door leads to another door leads to another door. You do not have to stop with an MBA. You do not have to stop with 12 years of service. There's a lot more that you can do, and there are more options out here for you. You don't have to stop at 6 figures. You can have 6 figures and freedom. You can have multiple 6 figures. You can have 7 figures and have control of your calendar. And be able to I've had people tell me in counseling, because my background is counseling, I've had people tell me in counseling that it's expensive to eat healthy. It shouldn't be. And it doesn't have to be. But you do have to produce more value. And it is 8 o'clock, so we have to go. I have to let you go. Tomorrow, we're going to have one of the most phenomenal guests that you will be blessed to see on the Breakfast with the Brand. We have someone coming here he's a senior. And when I say a senior, I mean he's a senior in service. He's a leader in leadership, 30 plus years in service to this country. Father, grandfather, multiple times over, and a pilot. So listen, when I tell you about accomplishments and business acumen and the power of leveraging leadership, tomorrow's guest, it will be very hard to find a comparison. It will be very hard to find a comparison. And honestly, it'll be very hard for you to find a comparison for you. It'll be very hard for someone to compare to you. God made you infinite. He gave you infinite potential. He gave you infinite wisdom and infinite capabilities. You just have to unlock the blueprint to your fingerprint. Sometimes I say some deep stuff. That might have been one of them. You might want to write that down. You just got to figure out the blueprint to your fingerprint, because you're made in originality, you're made unique, and there's something inside of you that no one else has. And if you unleash it, if you give it permission to exist in its true nature, raw essence, authenticity, you'll make more money than you ever thought possible. You'll have more freedom than you thought existed. And you'll live a life and give the loved ones in your life a life that you nor them ever knew possible. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, Shaan, and it is an honor to serve you. That's why we do it every single day. We do not get paid for this. If you want something on the back end, touch us, hit us, that's fine. But this front end, that's on me. Let's grow. This is the Breakfast with the Brand.